The first official trailer for George Miller's Furiosa has been released online, and just based on the stylistic shots and action that we get in this first look, I think it looks pretty incredible. It focuses on the journey of Furiosa from 2015's Fury Road and the quest that led to her and Max's revolt in the previous film. The trailer, which was revealed at CCXP, promises another George Miller action odyssey with a combination of astonishing practical stunts and VFX work, but one that also taps into the central character of this project, an earlier iteration of Charlize Theron's iconic performance. In this video, I'm going to be giving you my reaction and brief breakdown for the Furiosa trailer, discussing why it looks like an incredible new entry in Miller's Mad Max world. The trailer will also be linked in the description of this video, so if you haven't seen it already, I recommend you watch that first. Before I get into my reaction though, if you want to keep up to date on any of my future content surrounding upcoming releases like Furiosa, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. But without further ado, let's dive into the full trailer for Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. So the first trailer for Furiosa, a prequel to 2015's iconic Fury Road, gives us a great first look at George Miller's next entry in his Mad Max saga as the filmmaker returns to co-write and direct another installment. We get an extensive idea of the plot for this new film, and it does do well at visually portraying the plot, which was revealed to us months ago. That read, as the world fell, a young Furiosa is snatched from the green place of many mothers and falls into the hands of a biker horde led by the warlord Dementus, who is played by Chris Hemsworth. Sweeping through the wastelands, they come across the Citadel, presided over by a younger Immortan Joe. And while the two tyrants war for dominance, Furiosa must survive many trials as she puts together the means to find her way home. The trailer is initially vague about how many years pass after Furiosa was initially taken away from her family and the moment when she finally makes a break for her own freedom. Throughout the footage, we get looks at Furiosa as a younger girl before she was taken, we get a look at a younger Immortan Joe as he prepares to fight against Hemsworth's Dementus, and we also get brief glimpses of the chase scenes with new striking vehicles and chaotic war boys. My current guess would be that Hemsworth's villain would probably be killed at the hands of Immortan Joe or Furiosa, and then that would set up the control within the Citadel come Fury Road. If that is the case, then we would predict that the ending events of this movie would be one that's a bit darker than what we got in Fury Road, because Furiosa does not know by the time that movie comes around that the green place is no more. She still has hope that she can return there, and we know that by the time Fury Road comes around, she's fighting to escape Immortan Joe's rule and get to that promised land that she still thinks is out there. So her path to escape and get back is one that must have some twists that we currently don't know about. This trailer is of course only a first look, and while we get the main beats of the story within it, there's still much to discover about a younger Furiosa, and it definitely gets me intrigued to see what that involves. So coming to my review of the trailer, I think this first look at the prequel film is one that impresses me in a similar way to how the Fury Road trailers did back in 2015. Those original trailers for that film were some of my favourite trailers from the last decade, and it's definitely a tall order to match that marketing material in terms of quality. In fact, I think Fury Road is one of the rare examples of a big film release with excellent trailers not doing all that well at the box office. We often say the reverse for films like Blade Runner 2049, where that film was incredible, but the trailers didn't do a good job of telling us what the story was about and what makes it a potentially amazing film. And that makes Fury Road's case even weirder because it was a project with outstanding marketing and it didn't set the box office alight. I guess you could say that since its release in 2015, the film has only grown in popularity, and has become talked about amongst film fans as one of the decade's very best. But now that Furiosa is coming off the back of that, they needed a really strong trailer that shows off part action and part plot in the timeline that it's set in. I think for the most part they do an excellent job of establishing this, and right from the get-go we got info overlaying a sweeping desert shot to fill us in on the timeline and hook of this prequel story. On top of this, we got a tense build-up with new and returning characters. We are given a good feel of how Anya Taylor-Joy is portraying a younger Furiosa throughout her life, showcasing her as a child with hair, and then later on as an internally enraged individual with her classic shaved head and robotic arm. We are essentially seeing that transformation across the desert and the figures around her that mold her into what she becomes. Again, I'm still asking myself how the climax of this movie will find a way to hook me, but in trusting Miller, I'm sure he'll deliver something satisfying, both in a visual sense and in a character and story sense too. And that brings me on to the most impressive thing about this first trailer, and that is of course the stylish visuals and action set pieces that look to be guiding another Mad Max story on the big screen. What I loved about Fury Road was how Miller blended a lot of practical work in the desert with well done VFX to really enhance what we saw. There are moments of pure practical chaos, and then other moments like in the sandstorm scene or the truck flip at the end, where even though you can tell there's a lot of VFX being used, it's being done in an almost painting-like way to communicate the central struggle and fight of the characters along this journey. The story in general was one big chase across the desert, one that began as a sort of escape, and then one that transitions into a story of freedom through vengeance in a dystopian land of no hope. When I first saw the trailer for Furiosa, the question that came to my mind was, why is there more VFX being used? And I had this conceived notion that all of it would be practical and none of those heavy VFX shots would be in this first look. But then I had to remind myself that there were a lot of VFX enhanced shots in Fury Road, and because that was almost 9 years ago, I almost forgot that Miller used visuals in this particular way to enhance what was already shot in camera. So when I then rewatched the trailer from that perspective, I understood that this is exactly what we got from Fury Road. And even if there is more VFX work on display, at the end of the day, it still all looks quite incredible. So when it comes to the glimpses of action and the visuals that Miller is giving us, I think it looks just as promising as the work he's done before. Again, I like what we see of the characters, especially with Anya Taylor-Joy's Furiosa, an unrecognisable Chris Hemsworth, and a younger Immortan Joe, and I think the story has the opportunity to give us many undiscovered notes about the main character's fight for freedom. I still think I need to be sold more on what this movie can offer us come its conclusion, but again, stylistically and on the initial beats of this story, I think it has a lot of potential. The music by Junkie XL is also, as expected, enormously tension-filled, and the production design when it comes to the vehicles being used and how these actors look in character elevates that sense of the dystopian wasteland that Miller typically masters. So with Dune Part 2 and Joker 2, Furiosa may actually be right up there for my most anticipated films of next year, and this initial trailer gets me beyond excited for what's in store. But that was my video discussing my thoughts and breaking down the first official trailer for Furiosa. I will be doing much more videos on the film as we get closer to its release, including any new footage or details from George Miller's latest project. But if you've already seen the trailer, let me know down below in the comments section what you thought of the first footage, alongside whether you think it could reach the heights of Mad Max Fury Road. For much more videos and news on upcoming films like George Miller's Furiosa, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.